What's crackin'? My name's Chris, and this is That New England Sound. Before we begin, I'd like to make a formal announcement. Apparently, I've been mispronouncing the name of the big guy, the king of Massachusetts hi-fi himself. It's not Henry Kloss, it's Henry Close. At That New England Sound, we want to be a source of New England hi-fi info that you can trust. When we get it wrong, we say so. Moving on, I'm really excited to share this piece of hi-fi history with you. The Acoustic Research AR-4x, a sealed cabinet bookshelf speaker that rose to fame through the dorm rooms of hip college kids all over America. These gals came out in 1965. Edgar Villchur had a big idea. Back in the 50s, most people were happy listening to music through their radios, but there were a select few depraved individuals out there chasing down this new thing called high fidelity. If you wanted something like that, then you needed a lot of space because the loudspeakers capable of producing good bass were huge. Villchur's big idea was this. What if the air pressure problem that necessitated a larger cabinet was actually the solution? With the exact right size sealed box, the air pressure would help restore the cone and the coil to their designated spots. No one wanted anything to do with his idea. Every speaker company he reached out to said the idea was impossible. One person disagreed, a 25-year-old student of Villchur's named Henry Close. Close had been building speaker cabinets in his loft back in Cambridge. He said he could craft the cabinet that Villchur envisioned. In 1954, at the New York Audio Show, Villchur and Close debuted the AR-1, and it was a big success. People couldn't believe the deep, accurate bass coming out of such a relatively small cabinet. This was something you could make room for in your living room. In 1964, Acoustic Research released the AR-4, and a year later they came out with the AR-4x. Villchur designed the AR-4 with a young man named Winslow Burho, who would go on to found EPI, the company that gave Peter Snell his start. The AR-4x is not an acoustic suspension speaker. Actually, it's an aperiodic speaker. Air moves in and out of the speaker through a vented dust cap. We've got a 2.5-inch cone mid-range and an 8-inch woofer with its cloth surround. The speakers are 18 pounds, 19 inches tall, 10 inches wide, 9 inches deep. Look at all this great paperwork stapled to the back. You also got a potentiometer right there. A funny story about that. I originally got these speakers from a certain unnamed national thrift store chain. Not some independent thrift store, not some kind of church basement. They were selling these speakers for $250, which is how much you would pay for them on Craigslist after someone had actually worked on them. I thought maybe I could buy them, make a video, and sell them hopefully for around what I paid for. Unfortunately, when I got them home, I found out that one of the tweeters was not functional, despite the fact that these were allegedly tested and working. I brought them back and they let me return them without any problems. A few weeks later, I returned and saw the speakers were still behind the counter. I offered them $50. They went for it. I figured it probably wouldn't be too expensive to get the speakers fixed. I could make my video and then sell them and maybe even make a little bit of money. When I get them home though, I realized I never really messed around with the potentiometers. So I spin them a bit, get them back in the neutral position, and the speakers both worked. So I accidentally scammed this national thrift store chain. Then there was another development. I fell in love with these speakers. I just love their grill covers, their beautiful boxes. The vocals are so warm, the bass is tight and plentiful. Even though the sound is so luscious, I have no problem deciphering the individual instruments. My Snells take over the whole house with their vast 3D soundstage, and the elements are more distinctly rendered. But when I listen to the AR-4Xs, I don't really feel like anything's missing. As a hi-fi guy, collectability is not my top priority. I'm most interested in the best sonics at the best price possible. However, one of the major parts of this whole secondhand hi-fi thing is the treasure hunt. It is thrilling to find a pair of speakers like this. I mean, these AR-4Xs are probably almost 60 years old, and yet they'll take music that came out last week and make it sound spectacular. I cannot sell these speakers. Not now, not ever. One last thing. I'd like to thank everybody for watching these videos. It's been especially great reading the comments. I love hearing about your guys' experience with these speakers. Please do not hesitate to shout out the New England speakers you've listened to or the ones you're desperately trying to get your hands on. Happy treasure hunting, everybody!